Hello CS50, I am Mohammad Bozur Rahman Likon. Today I am going to present my CS50 Cybersecurity Final Project Presentation on Massive Privacy Breach, the 2022 Alibaba Data Leak. I am working as a junior cloud engineer at KP Cloud in Dhaka, Bangladesh. And on the presentation slide, you can see my GitHub and edX username and the date I am recording this presentation. Introduction. I want to analyze the Alibaba data breach because it powerful demonstrates the privacy risk of centralized database, which deeply relates to the key theme in our CS50 cybersecurity course. In 2022, a misconfigured database hosted on Alibaba Cloud leaked personal information over 1 billion Chinese citizens. This includes name, address, mobile numbers, national ID numbers, and police reports. It is one of the largest data breaches in the history. The breach exposed serious vulnerabilities in Alibaba's own system and violates core principle of access control and availability. We focus in this course. By examining the technical cause potential impact of the leak, I aim to highlight the privacy risk of centralized personal data, the importance of access control and authentication, how misconfiguration can outreach harm, steps organizations can take to improve cloud data protection. My analysis will include the specific data technology used, how the attacker gained access without authorization, and the key recommendation to prevent similar failures in the cloud service. Ultimately, I hope to relate this relating such sizing real-world breach back to our core course. Learning will hammer home just how critical getting access control and security right the first time is. Data security. Securing data. Alibaba breach exposed weakness in how personal user data was handled and secured on some internal server. It demonstrates the importance of properly encrypting, compartmentalizing, and controlling access to centralized customer data. Key cybersecurity principles of data security like encryption of data control have mitigated the scale of this breach. Preserving privacy: over 1 million customer records with personal information were compromised. It highlights the need for rigorous privacy policies and practices when handling massive amounts of private customer data. Cybersecurity professionals have a duty to implement control and measure focus on preserving individuals' privacy and as much as possible. Background and on Alibaba and the failure. Alibaba Group is one of the largest e-commerce business in China and one of the most valuable companies globally, valued over $300 billion. In January 2022, one of the Alibaba's own hosted database was breached in cyber attack. This exposed the personal information of what is estimated over 1 billion Chinese citizens. The breached database was on Alibaba's Elasticsearch service, containing multiple terabytes of individual customer data records. It included full name, physical addresses, mobile numbers, national ID card numbers, recent police report, and legal records. This constitutes incredibly sensitive private identifying information. If leveraged by criminals, it could enlarge scale identity theft, personal fraud within the Chinese population. The scale of breach makes it one of the largest ever, and because it originated from Alibaba's own cloud infrastructure, it raises serious concern about the company's internal security policies, its ability to safeguard customer data. The failure exposes over 1 billion Chinese citizens' privacy, violates the personal risk. Understanding how it occurs is the key. Technology involved. Alibaba database was breached running on Elasticsearch service, which is popular open source search and analytics engine that Alibaba Cloud offer as managed service. Elasticsearch allows storing, searching, analyzing large number of data in distributed database. However, the instance compromised in this attack was misconfiguration in two critical ways. Authenticating was not enabled, Elasticsearch database instance was leaked, password lacked password protection, or other authentication requirements for the access. This allowed anyone who identified the exposed IP address to directly query the database without valid username or password. Access restrictions were not set. On the top of having no authentication, IP whitelisting and other access controls were not applied. There were no restrictions on what queries could be run on what database can be accessed. Any anonymous user can exploit full content of the massive database. Because of this massive misconfiguration, the attacker was able to easily identify the exposed Elasticsearch engine, connect without credential, and use search exposed queries to retrieve terabytes worth of sensitive data. Analysis and explanation. The root cause of this massive data breach was simple misconfiguration of the Elasticsearch server's access settings. Let's analyze the sequence of flaws. An accessible unprotected Elasticsearch database. The database instance had a private public IP address. Its API ports were left exposed on the internet. There was no authentication whatsoever. No access control list or rules restricted availability discovered through unprotected searches. The lack of protection allowed random queries attackers likely probe common indexes like customer. Query results related database sensitive contents export allowed of 1 billion user dataset. Attackers use export function to extract entire database, complete national ID and citizen registry update. Up to 1.1 billion user record exfiltrated in the breach. Ultimately, the ability to access, search, and export this population-wide database came down to Alibaba's failing the cloud security fundamentals. Recommendation. Based on the failure, companies using cloud databases should implement several security best practices. Require authentication for all databases, enforce complex password like two-factor authentication, VPNs, IAM roles, etc. to restrict access. Require valid credentials before allowing any queries. Whitelist approve IP addresses, firewall of databases to only allow known trusted servers on the network. Carefully restrict database permissions of least privilege, limit account to minimum viable access. Restrict read, write, delete, export capabilities, encrypt sensitive data at rest, leverage database or file system encryption feature, protect backup and archive against unauthorized access, actively penetration test configuration, audit test permission exposure regularly, generate alerts for unauthorized queries and traffic. In conclusion, the 2022 database breach offers stark lesson on the privacy risk of centralized personal data and critically access control services. The cause related directly back to the core cybersecurity principle covered in this course. Securing identities through authentication, managing access with permission encryption, ensuring ability only to authorized parties, and impact demonstrate how deeply customer privacy, security, identity, and the trust depend on the provider getting that access control right. Ultimately, the private company must follow this risk privilege cloud databases urgently prioritizing access restrictions to perform penetration tests, surface trace, enable encryption by default on the sensitive data. Thank you. That's all in my presentation.